Hi everyone, John Cottrell here of MBODY Yoga, and this is Soft Flow Yoga. Thanks for joining me. For our class today, we're going to be focusing on twisting and rotations. Wonderful way to condition your core, your torso, and actually find some mobility and more flexibility in your hips. So for our props today, we'll just need a few things. You might want to have a nice big pillow or cushion to sit on. You might also just have a blanket or towel. In addition to that, because we'll be doing some kneeling, so that'll be good for your knees and your hands. And you'll need something that you can stack, like a couple of yoga blocks, for example, or some hardbound books, something that's pretty sturdy, because that's going to help us with some of our postures today. All right, as always, let's start in a seated position. Sit comfortably on your folded blanket or on your pillow. And as you get situated, just take a few deep breaths. You might take a full breath in, and exhale completely. Do that again. A nice full breath in and exhale. Just let the body relax and settle in. We'd like to take these first few moments of our practice just to be more present and connected as we prepare for our practice. Continue to be mindful of your breath, or just be aware of your breathing. I like to call it intentional breathing, very aware of each inhale and aware of each exhale. As you're able, breathe in a way where you can feel your breath. Pay attention to how your body is responding to your inhales and exhales. For example, you just might feel the rise and fall of your chest or belly. And as you sit quietly, listen to the sound of your breath. And if it's a little quiet, see if you can turn up the volume of your breath. These are just very simple ways just to be more present and aware. Letting go of the things that are going on outside of you, paying attention to what's going on inside of you. Your eyes can remain opened if you'd like, and if they are open, just gaze softly forward or even down at the ground. You can also just close your eyes. Mindful, intentional breathing. Let's add another sensation. As you inhale, just feel the breath rising upward. You might even imagine your breath lives in your belly. And as you inhale, you're pulling it up to expand the lungs and open up your heart space. And as we exhale, we try to keep that uplifting sensation of the breath. We create a lock. So when we exhale, we pull the belly button in towards the spine. It's a light contraction of the abdominal muscles. So again, as you inhale, feel the lifting and lengthening of your spine. Breath is rising upward, filling up your lungs. Keep that uplifting sensation. Exhale to create the lock. Pull in. It doesn't have to be too strong of a pull, just an awareness of a drawing inward. We call this the abdominal lock. Mindful, intentional breathing. In a moment, we'll add a very simple movement. But for now, just take 3 more slow, deep breaths. And when you're ready, inhale and extend your arms out across the room. Let them float all the way up as you complete the full breath in. Then exhale, extend your arms out, and make sure there's good energy in your hands and fingers. Reach and stretch like you'll touch the walls. Complete the exhale as the arms return to your side. Do that again. Inhale, extend the arms out, reaching up. Feel the lengthening through the sides of your body, reaching through your fingertips. Exhale, reaching out. Good effort. All the way down. Now continue to breathe and move at your own pace. Don't worry if you're not moving with me exactly. You can just keep your eyes closed if you'd like and just listen to the sound of your breath and move with your breath. Continue to pay attention to your breathing, but also the sensations in your body. As you're moving in slow motion and the arms are rising up, for example, feel the lengthening through the sides of your body. This is going to help us get ready for our twists and rotations. Just making space along the sides, but also making space in your front and back bodies. Notice your shoulders, your arms, hands, and fingers. Yoga really teaches us to be more connected to our bodies, to pay much more attention, much more aware of the subtleties of the body. Very nice. Now go ahead and finish the breath that you're on and take 2 more breaths. Take your time. And when you're complete, you can just bring your arms back down by your side. You can even just let them rest in your lap and feel that shift, that change from a moving body to a relaxed body. Very good. Let's do our first twist here. So making sure you're still sitting up nice and tall. Take your right hand, I'm mirroring you here, but take your right hand, just place it kind of behind you or by your side, and what I call spider's legs, just kind of propped up on your fingertips. That's just to make your arms a little longer. Or you can place your palms on the floor. And what you'll do, you'll just push into the floor to help keep the spine tall and lengthened. That's going to be an inhale. So do that with me. Push into the floor with the hand. Inhale, feel breath rising, filling up the lungs, and feel the lengthening of the spine. Exhale, continue to feel the belly pull in. Okay, this next movement, we're just going to free up the left hand. Inhale, get tall. Exhale, pull belly in and start to turn a little bit towards your right knee. And just pause when you feel kind of that natural stop where you don't feel like you could move anymore. Then take the free hand and just place it over here on your knee or thigh, just to hold you in place. Now don't worry if you didn't twist too far, because that's really not the point. You did create a rotation. You're no longer facing directly forward, but have turned slightly to your right. Continue to feel as tall as can be. Inhale to do so. Exhale, pull belly in. Now you might even feel some sensations through the sides of your body as you're exhaling, particularly since you're in a rotated state. A few more breaths here. You're just introducing twisting to the body. Very good. Now as we come out of the pose, stay right where you are. Inhale, get nice and tall. Exhale, pull belly in as a way to secure the body and support the body. As you now unwind to face forward, you can bring both hands to the front and just let them rest on your knees. Take another breath. And let's do the other side. So same thing, taking the left hand now, maybe your spider's legs or palms on the mat. And just push into the floor to help maintain the lengthened spine. That's an inhale. Exhale, pull belly in. Now we're ready. Free up the your right hand. Inhale, extend. Exhale, pull belly in as a way of support and movement of the torso a bit towards your left until you just naturally stop. Then you can go ahead and take the free hand and place it on the knee or thigh and just hold yourself in place. Continue to breathe. Inhale, lift. Exhale, pull belly in. Once again, just notice any subtle sensations through the sides of your body. Now, how we got into the pose, I had you keep a hand free and rotate first. I do that on purpose so you can really feel that it's your breath and musculature and bone structure that allows you to rotate, rather than placing the hand on the leg first, because sometimes we accidentally, not purposefully, pull ourselves into the pose. I just want to reduce that sensation. All right, coming out of the posture, stay in place. We'll inhale. Exhale, pull belly in, support, and then unwind. Facing forward, hands resting on the lap, and just notice how everything just comes back to neutral. And just hold here for a moment. Very good. Let's add on. Let's create our mild back bend. I'm just sitting sideways so you can see this. Place your hands behind you. You can still use your spider's legs. Placing the hands back here. You're also going to pull or roll the shoulders back just to help open the chest a little bit more. This will help create our back bend. Same idea of pushing into the floor with your hands or fingertips, and inhale to feel breath rising, filling up the lungs. You might even tip the chin up just a little bit, not into a place where you'd strain your neck. Then exhale, pull belly button in. Same sensation with breath. Inhale, press into the floor with the fingers. Breath rising, filling up the lungs. Exhale, pull belly in, and an added sensation of squeezing the shoulder blades together behind you. Really feel the sensations here. Very active body, but we're in a mild back bend. A nice heart opening sensation. Another way of working the spine too. Let's take 2 more breaths here. When you're complete, just lower your chin so your neck is neutral. You can walk your hands toward yourself. And once again, just place the hands in your lap, sitting up nice and tall, letting the body come back to neutral. Since we just did a back bend, let's do a forward fold. If your legs are crossed, you might want to uncross your legs. Let's do a hip opener, bound angle pose. So placing the soles of the feet together. Now, you can even draw the heels in close, but do be mindful of how this feels on your knees. If that doesn't feel great, then you might want to just slide the feet forward. Now here's an opportunity to use your books or blocks if you'd like. Just notice the legs, because the knees might not touch the ground, nor do they have to, but you can create a ground underneath them just by placing some props. It could be some small pillows, rolled up towels, or your books or blocks right here. That way your legs can rest, and you'll feel a little bit more relaxed in the inner legs. Go ahead and hold on to your ankles, shins, feet, or toes, just depending on what you can reach, but you want to be able to sit up nice and tall. Look directly forward. Inhale, let's continue to create that lengthened spine. Exhale, pull belly in, and I'm starting to hinge at the hips, sending my heart and chin forward just a little bit. Pause so I can readjust my hands a bit. Inhale, keep extending through spine at this new angle. Exhale, pull belly in, and maybe hinge a little bit deeper. Now, at first, I like to move in a way where the spine stays really straight, or straight as can be. And then, go ahead and lower the chin and even round your back. And you might find that you can fold a little bit deeper. Remember, in our soft flow practice, we don't like to move too quickly, and we certainly don't have to move into our poses too deeply. So if you're trying to push yourself into a pose, maybe working beyond 100%, which might create strain and stress and might even overwhelm the body, which is what we don't want to do while we're practicing yoga. Rather, go slowly, mindfully, softly, and maybe only going to maybe 60 or 70% into the pose. Now, we might think that we're not getting the full effect of the posture if we're not getting fully into it. But believe me, you really are getting a full benefit of the pose, even if you're not if you think you're not fully in it. This way, the body can feel a little bit more relaxed and at ease, and it'll respond much easier. You won't feel overwhelmed or stressed. And since we're folded forward and have this nice curvature of the spine, you might even feel a little stretch sensation down through the back body. Let's take 2 more breaths. Now if your back is rounded, we're going to re-extend the spine as we get ready to rise back up. Start by just lifting the chin a little bit to realign the neck. You might be looking somewhere out in front of you. You can even place your hands or fingertips on the floor to help press and lift yourself up, or press yourself up, hinging from the hips as you come right back up nice and tall. And just hold here for a moment. So we just did a mild back bend and a forward fold. Let's recreate that sensation now on our hands and knees as we get into cat and cow. Let's move our blocks to the side. Make your way onto your hands and knees. Just move mindfully and carefully. Here's where you might want to use your blanket or a towel. I'm just going to open my blanket here, just so you have something soft underneath you to support your knees and your wrists. And just to align yourself so your shoulders are over your wrists and your hips are over your knees. We'll start here. Nice long neck, so your gaze is directly down just between the hands. Now we'll inhale and create our back bend. You'll tip the chin up, looking forward. At the same time, you're tipping the pelvis back, and you create this back bend. Your belly feels like it drops. You can even feel relaxed in the belly. And there's our back bend, that's cow. As we exhale, we're going to tuck the pelvis under. You'll create a natural curve of the spine. Pull the belly button up towards spine, chin to chest. And there's our rounded back. That's cat. Inhale, starting with the back end, tilt the pelvis back, belly drops. There's our back bend. Heart opens, look forward. Cow. Exhale, round it all out. And just continue this on your own, moving and breathing at your own pace. One of my favorite movements in yoga. A great undulation of the spine, especially if it feels a little stiff. This is very gentle, creating some opening through the entire back body. Also some movements in the hips, even if you have tight hips. Now your hips might not rock forward and back a whole lot or too deeply, but don't worry about that, because you are gaining more mobility just by attempting this flow of the body. Go ahead and finish the breath that you're on and take 2 more breaths. We'll just return to a neutral tabletop position, just as how we started the flow. Now, being in this posture can tire out the hands and wrists. We'd like to take a little rest. So go ahead and tuck your toes. Start to sit back, your hips towards your heels. Even step your hands or walk your hands towards your knees until you can lift your hands off the mat. And then you can kind of give them a little relief. I like to circle the wrists here, wiggle the fingers, and do a counter stretch. Since they were in this forced flex position, you want to maybe flip them down. Okay, and just give them a little massage. Do that anytime in your yoga practice, because wrists just tend to get a little fatigued in some of our postures. So feel free to give them a little love and support. All right, we're going to move our blanket out of the way and get set up for downward facing dog. So return to hands and knees here. Now we are going to step the hands forward so the wrists are out from underneath the shoulders. Spread out your fingers pretty wide as you do so. And then just lean or press into the palms to flatten the palms, open the palms. Even our hands can get tight. The muscles in the hands, something we don't really pay much attention to. And even grip the mat a little bit with your fingertips. As you're pressing into the ground, feel the strength and length in your arms and maintain that as best as you can. Tuck your toes under. Let's do one more cat-cow flow. Starts with cow, that's the inhale. Exhale, round the spine. And we're going to hold our cat pose, making sure toes are tucked so you can lift the knees off the floor. Hands push into the floor as you send your hips up into the air. Even feel your head kind of start to sink between the arms. Keep the knees very bent. So we've made it to downward facing dog. Hold here for a moment. Relax your head. You might even nod yes a few times just to ensure that your neck is relaxed. We'll take a few steps forward so our feet end up perhaps in the center of the mat, but you want to be flat on your feet. And then just slide your fingers towards your toes. You'll be in a forward fold. We're going to modify this by sliding the hands up to the shins or knees and just rise up halfway and hold here. Make sure your feet feel solid on the ground. You're not leaning toward your toes or sitting back into your heels, but finding that center. Make sure your knees are nice and bent, that way the legs stay engaged. And as best as you can, you're parallel to the floor or a tabletop position. Sometimes I call this monkey pose in yoga, but technically it's called half forward fold. Feel an energy moving through the crown of your head towards the front of the room, and energy through your hips and tailbone to the back of the room. Now continue to walk your hands up to your thighs, place them there, lean back a little bit into your heels, bend your knees to lower your hips, lifting the chest a little bit so you're about 45 degrees, right about there. Push firmly into your thighs with your hands to help stand up nice and tall. And once you are tall, let's get even taller with an inhale and extend the arms straight up into the air. Nice stretch. And exhale, let's bring arms down to your side. Let's just do one more movement like that. Just inhale, extend the arms out and up. Good reach, even pause briefly there at the top. Exhale, arms return to your side. Very good. Let's do a little movement of the shoulders. Just some circles backward with the shoulders and forward. Good. Let's do a side bend. Remember, we're doing some rotations. We're just kind of getting the body ready to do more rotations. This is called reed pose. So we're going to inhale and extend the arms up into the air. We're going to take the right hand and maybe grab hold of the left wrist. Inhale, keep reaching up, and exhale like you're just going to pull that wrist over to the right side. Now again, you don't have to pull very hard, nor do you have to go very far, just to feel that lengthening down through the left side of the body. This is our reed pose. You can imagine like a field of wheat, okay? And it's just blowing in the wind. All right, we're going to come back up. Let's relax the arms and shoulders by releasing and bringing the arms back down. Let's go ahead and do another circle sensation with the shoulders. Roll them backward and roll them forward. And if you need to, kind of shake all that loose too. All right, let's get ready for the other side. Let's go ahead and inhale, reach out and up. Take your left hand, grab the right wrist. Inhale, reach up as best as you can, and exhale, a little tip to the left until you just feel that natural stretch on the right side of the body. For me, it's right here. And some breathing. As you inhale and just feel the expansion of the lungs and the rib cage, you'll feel that stretch. Keep breathing, feeling your breath and listening to the sound of your breath. All right, let's come back up. Go ahead and release. Let's bring the arms out and back down. And relief. Circles. Wonderful. All right, we're going to do a variation of Warrior 1 and Warrior 2. So let's return or maintain a standing position. Maybe just stand at the top of the mat. Nice and tall in mountain pose. Start by softening the knees. Put a little bend in your knees, keep them there, and then shift your weight over into your right foot so you really feel rooted and grounded on the right side. Even lean forward a little bit so your toes need to grip the mat, especially the right foot. Your left foot should feel a little lighter, and just lift the heel and start tapping the foot back until it just naturally stops. We're going to outwardly rotate. I'm just using my arm as an example of what's happening here because you're rotating the leg, but I'm just showing you with my arm. I'm going to open up the leg, just as I did with the arm, and plant that heel, and everything shifts to center. So you feel pretty solid here and balanced. Place your hands on your hips. You're going to push pelvis downward, creating length in the spine by getting nice and tall here. And then just start to face forward. Inhale and extend the arms out and up. We're going to modify the arms with an exhale and bend the elbows until they're about 90 degrees here. And this is our variation of Warrior 1. A little different from the traditional version, mainly because there's not too much distance between the feet and our arms are bent. One more breath. Now inhale and extend both arms up. Exhale, bring the arms out and down and bring hands to hips once again. Okay, let's transition to our Warrior 2, but we need a little bit more space between the feet. So just going to lean into the right foot, bending this knee. So So I can pick up that back heel and just take a step back. That's all, it doesn't have to be too much. All right, we're still facing forward here. Inhale, re-extend the arms straight up. On the exhale, turn your torso towards the left side of the room as your arms come down to parallel. Now I need to make another adjustment because my left leg back here really still feels turned in. Even my toes are turned in. It wants to naturally turn out. So I'm just going to go ahead and naturally turn out. That just feels better. And there's my warrior 2. Now we're going to take a modified side angle pose from here. So reach forward a little bit, changing the angle of the upper body so it's a little bit angled, and rotate here. My hand should reach my thigh. So I'm just going to reach my thigh right here. And initially I'm going to bring the left arm straight up. But I'm going to relax this arm and just bring it to the hip. So a variation of side angle pose. So 3 variation of postures, and we'll do deeper versions or a little bit later in the practice. We did a warrior 1, warrior 2, and this is our variation of side angle. I'm just going to use my right hand, just going to push into the thigh to rise back up. I'm going to release the arms, place hands on hips, turn to face forward, take the arms out, flip the palms up, and fold. Bring the hands down to the floor, plant the hands, spread out your fingers to give you a good base. Rise up onto your tiptoes behind you, and just hold here for a moment. This is actually going to be a setup for one of our rotations we're going to be doing a little bit later. For now, I'm going to bend my left knee like this. I like to say I'm revving up the body because I'm going to step forward. Left foot to the top of the mat next to the other. I'll be in a forward fold. Let's slide the hands back up to the shins or knees. Pause for a moment in our monkey pose or half forward fold. Place hands on thighs. Shifting weight into the heels, bend your knees to lower your hips, lift your chest to about 45 degrees. Keep pressing into thighs. Standing up tall, get even taller, reaching both arms up, and exhale, arms down to your side. All right, let's do that same sequence on the other side. Setting ourselves up, mountain pose, soft knees, shifting weight into left foot, root and connect. Lean forward a little bit. Peel the right heel off the floor and start tapping it back until it just naturally stops. Remember, it doesn't have to go back very far. And we're going to outwardly rotate that back leg, plant the heel, find your center. Place hands on hips, push down, or feel as if you're pushing your pelvis down as your torso gets tall, making space across the belt line so you can turn to face forward. Now, inhale, extend both arms up. Modify the arms with an exhale, bend them to 90 degrees. And this is our variation of warrior 1. And we'll hold here for several breaths. Now we'll get ready for our variation of warrior 2. Inhale, re-extend the arms straight up. Exhale, arms come down, bring hands to hips. We're going to lean forward, put some weight into the left foot. Bending that left knee, peel the right heel off the floor and just take a step back, putting a little bit more distance between the feet. Inhale, re-extend the arms straight up. Exhale, turn your torso towards the right side of the room as your arms come down to parallel. If you need to make any adjustments with this right leg, I need to, just to feel a little bit more opened in the hips, and there's our warrior 2. When we get into a fuller version of this, you'll probably have a little bit more distance between the feet. We're going to angle the upper half of the body as we move into our next pose. Reaching out, bring the left hand to left thigh, right hand initially reaching straight up just to open up. But we're going to relax this arm by bringing right hand down to right hip. As best as you can, you're completely sideways. You're facing the side of the room. So just be aware if you feel like you're falling or turning towards the floor. Just lift yourself up a little bit to turn so you're facing sideways. Now pushing left hand into the thigh to rise back up so we're perpendicular to the floor. Placing both hands on the hips, turn the torso to face forward as best as you can. And take the arms and reach out, flip the palms up and fold. Spread out your fingers, plant the hands, rise up onto your tiptoes behind you. That's going to realign the hips as we hold here in this runner's lunge. Remember, this is a setup for one of our rotations that we'll do a little bit later. Bending the right knee, ready to rev up the body. So you can push, even if you need to take several steps to get this foot back up to the top of the mat. Next to the other, you'll be in a forward fold. Slide your hands up to your shins or knees. Pause in our halfway lift, monkey pose. Solid on 2 feet. Place hands on thighs. Shifting weight into the heels, bend your knees, lower your hips, lifting chest 45 degrees. Keep pressing into thighs, standing up tall. Getting even taller, extending arms up into the air. Exhale, arms return to your side. And if you like, maybe some more circles with the shoulders. Very nice. Good. So that was our variation of a sequence of Warrior 1, Warrior 2, and we added our side angle pose. In a moment, we'll get into some deeper versions of that. But let's do one more standing posture. For this one, you might need a block. Now, a hardbound book might be too heavy for this, and so if you don't have a block, maybe a pillow or even a rolled up towel will be good because we're going to place the block or prop between the thighs, just above the knees, and just give them a little squeeze to hold on to. We're going to take chair pose and then rotate and twist our chair, very much like how we did seated on the floor and rotated the upper body. So let's start in mountain pose, arms just down by your side. Inhale, extend both arms up. On the exhale, I'm going to turn sideways. Take a little seat, or imagine you're sitting back into a chair. You're going to bring your hands to your heart. So I'm not really sitting back too deeply, nor do you have to. You could sit back and down a little deeper. Maybe I'll go here. So we're like this. I am shifting my weight back a little bit into my heels, just a little, but making sure I'm really squeezing the prop between the legs. I'm actually going to turn this way just so you can see that my hips are aligned, because I'm going to twist to the right, inhaling to extend the spine, exhaling, rotating a little bit to the right, not needing to twist too far. And if you can still see my hips, they really haven't moved. What we're avoiding, just watch me here, what we're avoiding is this kind of movement here where the body just kind of turns and I'm facing the right, but you see what happens to my hips? They're out of alignment here. I'm going to maintain that seat as if you're glued to that chair, and it's just an upper body rotation. There we are. And if you look down at your knees, and if the knees are still aligned, that means your hips are still aligned, since you really can't look back and see your hips. So check out the knees. If the knees have shifted too far away from each other, that means the hips have done the same thing. All right, inhale right where you are. Exhale, unwind, place hands on thighs just to help you stand up nice and tall. Re-extend the arms up into the air. Let's go right away to the other side. So exhale, take your seat into chair pose. Bring hands to heart. I'm going to adjust my block because it feels like it's going to slip out from between them. There we are. There's our chair pose. So same thing. You want to feel pretty glued to the imaginary chair. The weights in the heels will also help, and you're also squeezing the block. Now you're going to twist to your left. Inhale, extend through spine. Exhale, pull belly in, and here's the rotation. Again, just turning until you naturally stop. You don't have to over-rotate, and I certainly wouldn't encourage it. Here's something else you could do. Since we turned on our own, like we did in the seated on the floor posture, let's just check in. What you can do is take your left hand, place it on the small of your back. It should feel somewhat flat. And then your right hand just over here on the left knee or thigh. Okay, just to hold you in place. And this might even feel more supported rather than just having your hands in prayer pose. Checking with the knees, noticing that they're aligned. That means your hips are aligned. Let's bring hands to prayer again. Inhale, exhale, unwind. Place hands on thighs, press, lift, re-extend the whole body, getting even taller, reaching up, even pause at the top. Exhale, arms return to your side. Very nice. Shake things out, and we're done with our prop here, so we'll take that and carefully bend to place it on the floor. All right, now we're ready for our next flow here. New variations of Warrior 1, Warrior 2, and side angle, and we'll incorporate another twist and rotation. Let's start with soft knees. Inhale, extend both arms up into the air. Exhale, arms out to the side like you're spreading your wings. Bend your knees, sit back into the imaginary chair. Coming down, let the arms come down. Let them rest at your shins perhaps, and then just kind of slide down the legs until you come to a forward fold. You just release your head, feel the curvature of the spine. Inhale, slide your hands back up to the knees or thighs, re-extend, lengthening. Exhale, refold, but this time bend your knees a whole lot more, round your back more, getting close to the floor so your hands can come to the floor. You're going to start walking the feet back, so there is weight and pressure in the hands, so you can step the feet back to the back end of your mat. And then just realign the body so it's forming a straighter line in the body, something like this. This is plank pose. We'll breathe in, pushing into the floor with the hands, strong arms. As you exhale, bend your knees quite a bit, and then send your hips up into the air. Head and chest will sink between the arms. Now, if it feels like your feet are too far away from your hands or center, just step the feet forward a little bit. Just one step forward should do it. You want to feel like your hips are really high up in the sky. I sometimes call this a high mountain peak. Keep the bend in the knees. That will keep the hips mobile, which means you can probably send the hips up a little higher. Hands press firmly into the floor. Chest sinks between the arms. Make sure the head is relaxed. Downward facing dog. Let's get ready for our next version of Warrior 1. We'll start by stepping the left foot to the center of the mat, which will help with balance. Pick up your right foot up off the floor. Inhale and extend the right leg back behind you. Doesn't have to be high, just long. Exhale, bend that right knee. Bring the right knee underneath you towards your chest or chin as you shift your whole upper body forward until your shoulders are aligned over your wrists. And then set the right foot down, just on your toes. And set the left knee onto the floor. There's a lot of weight in the hands. Let's pull the hips back so there's less weight in the hands. Free the right hand, go back and pick up the right foot from the ankle and place it a little higher up on the mat. This is going to eventually place or create more space between the feet. Plant both hands, re-lift the left knee, and outwardly rotate that back leg to plant the heel onto the floor. Walk the hands back a little bit. Rise up onto your spider's legs, your fingertips. So you can shift the weight back so there is more weight and pressure in this back foot. Let's check in with this right knee. You want to make sure it's nicely bent. Knee aligned over the heel or ankle. Crawl up the leg. Get the hands up to your thigh, pushing into thigh to help you lift and extend torso. We'll pause here. We're at about 45 degrees. We're almost in the same alignment. Almost a straight line right down to that back leg. As you're able, free the arms, spread your wings, reach out, and then rise up as your torso now gets tall, reaching into the air. Keep the arms straight as we exhale, bend the right knee a little bit more. So now we are in our second version of Warrior 1. A little bit more distance between the feet, and the arms are straight up. Warrior 2 is next. Breathe in. Exhale, we'll rotate or turn the torso to the left side of the room. Arms come down to parallel. Again, you might need to adjust that back leg. Warrior 2. Almost the same as our first version, except there's probably a little bit more distance between the feet. Ready for our side angle. We're going to reach out, maybe a little bit more. Let's bend this right arm. Right angle, or to rotate rather than the hand here. Well, you can place the right hand here, but if you're able, place the arm on the thigh and the left hand reaching straight up. And since we're getting ready for twist, let's send this left arm overhead like this, arm coming a little bit closer towards your ear, so you're getting a nice side body stretch. So our second version of side angle. Let's breathe in. We're going to exhale, just continue to turn towards the floor. Let's bring the hands or fingertips, actually just your fingertips to the floor, and just stay here for a moment. Let's go ahead and get ready for the rotation. Now, hopefully your books or blocks are nearby.
I'm going to bring them in. I have 2 blocks. I'm going to take one a little bit higher because I want some good height. Placing my left hand on the stacked blocks so I can lift myself up, just straightening the arm. All right, now what I like to do, it's not traditional, but I'm going to rise up onto my tiptoes here, turning everything forward. So everything feels like it's pointing forward, and I'm lifted, just like this. I want to create as much space in my torso because I'm going to be rotating in a second. Take your right arm and extend it out to the right side, pushing into the block, and then rotate just a bit to the right side of the room. You can stay like this. Now this right arm can stay straight. You can even bring the hand behind you, maybe placing it on the small of your back. There's our twist. Notice the sensations. Lots of them going on. Where I feel it, I certainly feel it in my torso since I'm turning to the right. I can even feel this in my right hip, my outer hip actually, and certainly my legs. Okay, starting to come out of the pose. I'm just going to carefully turn towards the floor. Bring the hands to the floor. You know what? I'm going to bring my left knee to the floor, just so I have a little bit of relief here, so I can move my blocks. So I'm just going to put them over to the right side, because that's where I'll need them next. Let's do this. Let's place both hands way out over onto the left side of the mat. Just lean into the hands, so we have a little bit mobility of this right foot, and slide it back until we're on our hands and knees. And then just come back to center here. And since we're here, cat-cow. Inhale, look up or forward. There's our arched back. Exhale, rounding. So we just did a twist. So that turns the spine in one direction. And now mobilizing the spine again by creating these back bends and rounded sensations in the spine. All right, let's do the whole same thing on the other side. Let's get set up for downward facing dog. Let's step the hands forward again, spreading out the fingers, press palms into the floor, lean into the hands a little bit, tuck toes. Cat-cow, inhale starting with cow, that's the back bend. Exhale, round it into cat. Hold cat, press toes into the floor, lift knees off the floor, hands press into the floor as well. Hips rise, chest sinks between arms. Take a little step forward with the feet, so your hips are nice and high, our high mountain peak. Head is sinking between the arms. There we are, downward facing dog. Ready for warrior one. Start by stepping right foot to center of the mat. Pick up left foot. Inhale to extend the leg back behind you, straight as can be. Exhale, bend this left knee. Bring knee towards your chin, underneath you, shifting forward so your shoulders are over your wrists. You'll set the left set of toes onto the floor. Set your right knee onto the floor. Pull hips back to get weight away from the hands. Free the left hand. Go get to your left foot, grab the ankle, and step it up a little higher. Replant the left hand, relift the right knee, pivot or turn right heel to the floor, step the hands back so it's easier for you to put more weight and pressure in that back foot. Check in with the left knee, nice and bent, knee is aligned over the heel or ankle. Crawl up the leg, bring both hands up to your thigh. As you push into the thigh, extend the spine, 45 degrees. Really root and connect to the floor with your back foot so you can free your hands. Take them out to the side, rise up, reach up, looking forward, warrior one, hold. Ready to move, breathe in. Exhale, turn your torso towards the right side of the room. Arms come down to parallel. Adjusting the back leg and foot as necessary. Ready for side angle. Let's reach out, angled upper body. We're going to bend this left arm to about 90 degrees. Rotate so we can bring this forearm down to the thigh. Just push into the thigh to help you stay tall and opened. Meanwhile, right hand is reaching up into the air and then eventually over your head. Arm comes a little closer towards the ear and just feel the stretch. Couple of breaths.
And we get ready for our runner's lunge, which will rotate. Carefully start to turn and fold. Bring the hands down to the floor. Let's bring in those blocks. Hopefully they're right nearby. Stacked as tall as you need them. Place the right hand on to the block. I'm going to rise up on my tiptoes behind me. Everything's facing forward. And there's my lift and extended spine. That's our runner's lunge variation using the block. Now I like stacked blocks because again, it lifts you high enough so you have space around the belt line so you can actually rotate. Let's take the left arm out to the left side. Inhale for the spinal extension. Exhale, pull belly in. That's your body. Breath, musculature of the body, skeletal system rotating on its own. Nothing pulling you into the pose. You can keep the left hand here or bring hand to your low back, and there's our rotation. Notice where you have sensation. Again, I have sensation about here, my hips and glutes, rotated through the spine, keeping it as straight as possible. Breathe. All right, ready to come out of the pose. I'm carefully unwinding, bringing left hand to the floor. Let's bring the right knee to the floor so we can begin to rest. We're done with the blocks for now, so let's move those out of the way. I'm placing both of my hands over here on the right, so I have a little bit more mobility in this left foot so I can slide it back, so I'm on my knees. Let's get the hands back to center here. Hands and knees, cat and cow. It also helps to realign the spine since we just did that twist and side bends. This just kind of gets things back to neutral. Let's add a pose here. If you happen to have a big cushion, maybe a bolster or even a big cushion from your sofa or even some stacked pillows could help. What I'm going to do is just going to turn around and sit in front of my big firm bolster here. I'm going to lie down, just basically just draping my body over the bolster here, which kind of creates this natural back bend. And this might feel quite nice. And I can just extend the legs out front, arms out to the side, and just coming to a kind of this restful back bend. Taking some deep breaths. We did a lot of work kind of standing, all those lunges and rotations, of course. And so really just taking a moment just to make a transition, just telling the body we've finished with most of the strenuous work, and now we can move into the more gentle relief of the body as we get closer to the end of the practice. So 2 more breaths. Coming out of the pose, I want to roll off of the pillow. So I'm just rolling to one side carefully. And I can just use my hands to press myself up, just so I can just move my pillow out of the way. And we are going to lie back down and make sure your blocks are nearby. So here's my blocks. And then carefully roll down onto your back. And go ahead and bring your knees with you. Just catch your knees with your hands and maybe a little massage. Remember, we're just signaling to the body and brain that we're transitioning into more relaxation, the resting part of the practice. I like to do little figure 8s as a way of massaging the back and hips. I also like to get into the feet here. Circle the ankles, flex and point, and even going back to the wrists. Circle the wrists, wiggle the fingers, and then we'll plant the feet into the ground. Let's get ready for another back bend, another supported back bend. We did the supported version with the pillow. Now let's do one with the block.
Knees are bent, feet flat on the floor. Inhale to fill up the lungs. Make sure you've got at least one block or book in your hand. As we exhale, we push into the floor, lifting the hips high enough to slide your prop underneath you. Get it in the right spot to sit on. Now we haven't lifted very high, nor do we have to. Just want to be able to slightly lift the hips as we create this version of a back bend. You'll notice it feels a little bit different from the back bend we just did on the cushion. This is our supported bridge pose. The other one we might call a supported fish pose. There's a whole back bend posture that's called fish. Just a few breaths here, noticing the deep breathing. Hopefully the body is feeling a little bit more relaxed. Two more breaths. Now when you're finished, just press feet into the floor, lifting hips high enough to move the block out from underneath you, and slowly and safely return to the ground. Let's extend the body. So once you're down, extend the legs out in front of you, and then reach your arms behind you. Reach and stretch. When it's complete, let's bring both knees back into the chest, catch them in your hands. Lightly flex the feet and take the legs wide. What I like to do is keep the elbows very bent and place the elbows on the floor, kind of open the palms like they were platters, and just let the knees or legs just rest on those platters of my hands. I call this a variation of happy baby pose. It's a nice hip opener, but not needing to kick the feet up into the air. This not only provides a little stretch in the inner legs, but it also might provide some relief in the low back. Two more breaths. And we'll bring the knees together. We'll take a twist. We'll start by taking the knees over to the left side. Now, just like the other poses, I suggested not rotating too far. Now, your legs might reach the floor here and it might feel fine, but if you feel like it's going to be binding and uncomfortable, you can do a couple things. I have a block over here, and my left leg, since I'm going to the left, my left leg is going to rest on that block. That way I don't over-rotate. You can even place a block or even rolled up towel or pillow between the knees. Okay? So I just have my legs kind of resting on that block, rotating here, and I certainly don't feel over-rotated. And I actually now can place my left hand on top of the right thigh. Just the weight of my hand gives it a little bit more sensation. And then adding the right arm, reaching straight up into the air, and then take it out to the right side of the room down to the floor. Now even here, your right arm might not even reach the floor, and if it doesn't, place something underneath it. That way you don't feel like it's just hanging out in space. This feels wonderful. I feel like a nice stretch and some release happening in my low back, and I do have a tendency to have tightness in my low back. And I feel like this is a very gentle and kind way to treat that tightness. All right, I'm going to come back up to center, bring the knees up, hug them in. All right, let the spine realign. Meanwhile, I'll just move my block to the other side. And then when you're ready, take the knees down to that block so you're not over-rotating. And if you need something between the knees, another block or prop would work just fine. Place your right hand, and just the weight of the hand on top of that left knee or thigh is perfect. You don't have to push or pull. Then extend the left arm straight up towards the ceiling and then out towards the left side. Again, it might reach the floor or it might be resting on a prop. At the moment, my left arm is just resting on a block over here. And again, I can just feel the release actively happening in my low back, in my hips. Feels so good. And of course, breathing. Breathing also always helps when you're in your poses. So whenever you find yourself just holding a posture, just kind of get settled and relaxed in the pose and then turn to your breath. Let's take 2 more breaths here. When you're complete, let's return to center. Let's lift the knees, bring them up. One more hug. Set the feet onto the floor. Another breath just to feel the body settle. Now you're welcome to stay here for the remainder of the practice. We're moving to Shavasana, but sometimes lying flat on the floor isn't the most comfortable position. Sometimes this might feel better, just keeping the knees bent, because I think there's a little bit more space in the back and it just feels better. Otherwise, go ahead and extend the legs out front, arms just resting down by your side. Now again, being on a hardwood floor like I am may not be the most comfortable. So please feel free to place something soft underneath you. You can unfold your blanket or put several blankets underneath you for a little softness. And even to warm the body a little bit, you might even place a blanket over your body. This is wonderful, especially if you plan to hold this pose for a significant amount of time, which is wonderful. That way you can really feel the body and mind relax and step into your meditative moment. Wherever you are, you can just close your eyes or just keep your eyes open, gazing upward, feeling the body completely relax. Still noticing, though, the feeling and the sound of your breath. It's probably a little bit more soft, more gentle. You're always invited to stay here as long as you'd like. Even as I end the practice and come up to seated, you're welcome to stay in Shavasana. Take the time that you need. Remember, this is your time. I'm now going to prepare to come to the end of the practice and come to seated. Again, you're welcome to stay right where you are as I conclude the practice, and just remember these instructions when you're ready to finish. Start by taking 5 slow, deep breaths. Continue to feel your breath as it circulates through your body. Deep breathing so you can hear your breath. As you're breathing, also feel movement return to your body. When you're ready to move the entire body, move in slow motion. Take your time. If you're lying flat, you might bend your knees to plant your feet into the mat to help you turn over to one side of your body to a nurturing pose. Then use hands and a breath to press and lift yourself up so you can come to seated. Bring in something to sit on like your pillow or folded blanket. Feel free to cross your legs and sit up as tall as you can. Nice relaxed shoulders, and your hands can rest on your knees or rest in your lap.
And one last movement together. We'll inhale, extend the arms out and up. And as you exhale, bring your palms together and down to your heart. Take one more full and complete breath. And as we come to the close of our practice together, we bow saying, Namaste. Thank you so much for watching and participating in this yoga lesson. To help us with the channel so we can continue to bring you more content, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It's really appreciated. Namaste.